$500,000. In most Canadian cities, that number buys you a home, a real one. Garage, backyard, maybe a basement suite. In Metro Vancouver, $500,000 puts you at a fork in the road. And the road you pick could decide the next 10 years of your life. Go into the city of Vancouver and $500,000 barely gets you a door. Go into the Fraser Valley and that same $500,000 buys you square footage, parking, and in some pockets, an actual second bedroom. Same money, two completely different futures. In the next 10 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly what $500,000 buys you in each market right now in 2026, the trade-offs nobody's talking about, and the framework I use with every buyer walking into this price point. My name is Dan J. Reilly. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty. I help buyers navigate Metro Vancouver every single week, and the $500,000 decision is the single most common conversation I have with first-time home buyers right now. If you're holding a pre-approval around this number, this video was built for you. A quick note before we dive in, every number I'm quoting comes from the Fraser Valley Real Estate Board and the Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver March 2026 benchmarks. No guesses, no spin, just the data. So let's set the baseline. The Fraser Valley benchmark condo is $489,200. That's Surrey, Langley, Abbotsford, White Rock, and the rest of the Valley Board averaged. The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver benchmark sits at the high 700s across the entire board, and in the city of Vancouver proper, the benchmark pushes even further. Translation, $500,000 in the Fraser Valley puts you right at or slightly above benchmark. You're a normal buyer at this price point, decent selection, reasonable negotiation room, and buildings in every era. $500,000 in the city of Vancouver puts you well below benchmark. If you're a bottom of the market buyer, the selection is thin and compromises are mandatory. Now let's break down exactly what that looks like on the ground. So let's start with Vancouver. At $500,000 in the city of Vancouver proper, you're in studio and junior one bedroom territory, and most of the inventory is older stock. In neighborhoods like Marpole, parts of East Van, and the edges of Mount Pleasant, you're looking at 400 to 550 square feet units, typically in buildings from the 80s and 90s. Some have parking, some don't. Strata fees range widely, and the special assessment risk is real in this era of building. In downtown Vancouver and the West End, $500,000 buys you a junior one bed or a studio in an older concrete tower. You gain walkability, transit, and nightlife, but you give up space. And in some of these units, you're making a kitchen, a living room, and a bedroom fit inside 450 square feet. Move out into Burnaby and Richmond, and the math loosens up a little. In Metrotown, Brentwood, and the Lougheed corridor, $500,000 gets you into older one bedroom stock, or in some buildings an entry level junior two bed. SkyTrain access is excellent, and strata fees in older towers can be high. Building age does matter for resale. In Richmond at $500,000, you can find one bedroom plus den options in older mid-rise buildings, but the catch, Richmond has its own set of buyer considerations, including restrictive covenant histories on some lots and unique property tax dynamics. New Westminster is one of the sleeper plays at this price. Uptown New West and parts of Queensborough can still give you a one bedroom plus a den in decent stock, walking distance to the SkyTrain as well. For detached, not a chance. The city of Vancouver detached benchmark is well north of $2 million. Even in the Fraser Valley, the detached market is $1,375,000. $500,000 is not a detached conversation anywhere in Metro Vancouver, unfortunately. For townhouses, not in the city of Vancouver, not in Burnaby. The Real Estate Board of Greater Vancouver benchmark is in the 1 million plus range, so $500,000 doesn't touch it. So in Vancouver at $500,000, the choice is narrow, studio or older one bedroom, and you're picking between central location and compromised square footage, or outer suburbs and older buildings with more space but a little bit more risk. Now let's talk about the Fraser Valley. This is where $500,000 starts to breathe. In Surrey, $500,000 gets you into a one bedroom plus den in an entry level two bedroom condos in Wally, Guildford, and Fleetwood. In newer buildings, you're looking at 600 to 800 square feet, parking, storage, amenities like gym and co-working lounges, and some of these buildings are less than 5 years old. Surrey has the biggest range at this price point of any Fraser Valley market. The geography is massive, the inventory is deep, and pockets from Newton to Cloverdale give you meaningfully different trade-offs. Newton tends to be more affordable per square foot. Cloverdale trends family oriented with better schools, and Wally puts you closest to the SkyTrain. And here's a forward bet. The Surrey to Langley Langley SkyTrain extension is under construction right now. When it opens, the stations along Fraser Highway reshape commute times for everyone in the corridor. Buying condo stock near those future stations in 2026 is one of the cleaner appreciation plays in the region right now. In Langley at $500,000, you're just below the Langley condo benchmark of $556,900. So your selection tightens compared to Surrey, but it's still a workable market. In Willoughby, $500,000 buys you a 1-bedroom or a 1-bedroom plus den in newer construction. Willoughby is one of the hottest first-time buyer pockets in the valley right now, walking distance to schools, parks, and the future SkyTrain. In Walnut Grove or Alder Grove at $500,000, you get older stock but larger square footage. Walnut Grove gives you commuter convenience, and Alder Grove gives you the most space for the dollar but the longest commute to Vancouver. Push further east into Abbotsford and $500,000 buys you even more. Entry-level townhouses come into this range in some Abbotsford pockets. Newer 2-bedroom condos with 900 plus square feet are very common. So you're trading distance to Vancouver for raw square footage and lower carrying costs. So the headline is this: in Vancouver, $500,000 buys you location and lifestyle, older, smaller, in the middle of everything. In the Fraser Valley, $500,000 buys you space and newness, bigger, fresher, further from downtown, but affordability is one layer. Here's where most buyers get the decision wrong. Factor 1 is the commute. If your job is in downtown Vancouver and you're commuting 5 days a week, the Fraser Valley math can unravel fast. A Surrey SkyTrain commute is roughly 45 minutes to waterfront. From Langley today, with no SkyTrain yet, you're looking at 60 to 90 minutes by bus, longer by car in peak hours. And from Abbotsford, it's over an hour even on a perfect day. Time is money, and if you're spending 3 hours a day commuting, the savings on your condo start to evaporate in gas, wear, and lost weekends. If your job is hybrid or even fully remote, the Fraser Valley math flips. Your dollar buys dramatically more home, and commute stops being a daily tax. Factor 2, appreciation. Vancouver condos have historically appreciated at a lower percentage rate than the Fraser Valley condos, but off a much higher base. A 3% gain on an $800,000 unit in Vancouver is $24,000, whereas a 5% gain on a $500,000 Fraser Valley unit is $25,000. So it's very close in dollar terms. The question is, which market's trajectory fits your life? Factor 3, carrying costs. Older Vancouver stock means higher strata fees, higher special assessment risk, and higher insurance deductibles. New Fraser Valley stock means lower fees, lower short-term risk, and usually lower property tax. Surrey in particular has some of the lowest residential property tax rates in Metro Vancouver. On a 30-year horizon, those differences compound into real money. Factor 4 is resale and flexibility. Vancouver condos, even older ones, sell to a deep, diverse buyer pool. International buyers, downsizers, students, professionals, whereas Fraser Valley condos sell primarily to local buyers and end users. That's not a bad thing. It just means your future sale depends on a different demand profile. First-time buyer programs can stretch your $500,000 further than you think. BC's property transfer tax exemption for first-time buyers kicks in on qualifying properties up to a set threshold. Always double check the current number with a tax professional because the province updates it. The newly built home exemption removes property transfer tax entirely on qualifying new construction up to a price ceiling. New Fraser Valley condos in Willoughby, Clayton, and Surrey City Centre and Wally often fall inside this zone. New City of Vancouver condos at $500,000 are rare, but they do exist. The first home savings account, that FHSA, lets you stack tax-free savings that combine with RRSP homebuyers plan money, and a first-time homebuyer using both can often close with $10,000 to $15,000 less out of pocket. These programs don't appear in most MLS listings, and most buyers leave them on the table. So the verdict: $500,000 in Vancouver gets you a foot in the door in the densest, most connected, most expensive real estate market in Canada. You're small, you're in an older building, but you're in the center of everything. $500,000 in the Fraser Valley gets you room to live, more square footage, newer buildings, lower carrying costs, and a forward bet on the SkyTrain extension that's already under construction. Whether you want a home for the next 5 years or the next 15, and whether you value walkability or space. If you want me to run the actual math on your specific $500,000 scenario, including which neighborhoods, which buildings, and which first-time homebuyer programs you could qualify for, I built a full report for every client before we even step into a single showing. Comment the word guide below and I'll send you my Metro Vancouver neighborhood guide with every pocket I'd recommend at a $500,000 budget, both sides of the Fraser. Layouts, strata fees, building eras, resale data, and commute times to downtown. If you want a one-on-one sit down to build your personal buying plan, the link's in the description to book a 15-minute call. No pressure, we can map out your numbers together. And if this video helped you, hit subscribe. I post real Metro Vancouver market content twice a week. Again, my name's Dan J. Reilly. I'll see you in the next one.